he said to Cardi, he videoed himself, put a nail through his scrotum. He said, this is what I'll do to play in the City team.
What?
I think this man deserves to be Coach of the Year.
He's done an
Jeez,
unbelievable
he's done a
job.
great job.
I'm still not sold on what he'll do in the semi-finals.
Really?
Yeah.
Not a worry in the world for me. Like riding a bike. Man, I've had texts off Richard Gere, De Niro, all of them. They love Freddy The
You're an
Eighth.
imbecile.
They love it.
Clooney, that's why we mentioned him.
Yes, we're back. You ready to rock?
Ready to go.
I'm always ready to rock.
Here we go. Oh! Gets Victor the Inflictor!
Get an ambulance. Get an ambulance. Boom.
Right off his stomach.
Straight off his melon.
Can you believe he did that?
With a long-range shot, the arms up. It's a point.
He was one of the great days.
Great to be back for another episode of Freddy and the Eighth, the final round of the regular season. We'll be talking about the finals this time next week. How exciting. Loads to get through with the boys today. Brad Fittler, Andrew Johns. Always wonderful to see you.
Wonderful.
I love that shirt, Joey.
Good shirt.
5 for Flynn. Young guy from down at Bronte.
Yeah.
Very good, isn't it?
Good shirt.
5 for Flynn.
So is he doing shirts or what's he doing? Is this his
Doing all
shirt?
sort of clothing. Started going through the roof. Anyway,
5 by Flynn.
is it 5 by Flynn? I can't look down with my neck.
So it's just apparel. He's not an artist of any variety?
No.
Very good. Good to see you've welcomed a new sponsor to the show, Andrew.
Well, I can get a shirt, a pair of undies. Oh, it's Father's Day coming up. Get some shirts.
What did you ask for? Did you ask for Father's Day or you leave it as a surprise?
I get nothing anyway.
What?
Tell you what I would want. Socks and undies again. How many pair of socks have you got?
Socks. It's my one thing, bugbear every day.
Why?
I can't find them.
You can never have enough socks, can you?
Yes, you can.
No.
Mate, you get gifts. Literally socks and undies as you get older.
Our system mustn't be good, but I'm just, look, that's my thing every morning, just fumbling around
Yeah.
for a pair of socks.
And
I'd like to know where they go missing in the washing machine.
They do. They
Yeah.
always go missing.
Yeah. And underpants.
Lots to get through on the show today. This final round, well, who knows what's going to happen? In fact, who knows who's going to take the field? This game on Thursday night is going to determine a lot of what happens on Saturday afternoon, and then that game, Penrith Cowboys, will have a flow-on effect to what happens in our Sunday footy game down in Cronulla. We'll go through all of that. Now, just a reminder too, don't miss out on anything here on Nine's Wide World of Sport. Subscribe on our YouTube channel if you haven't already. NRL on 9. All the latest clips and highlights and even a bit of the dribble that we come up with.
This is on YouTube.
YouTube.
YouTube,
Wonderful, wonderful
the other one.
hosting platform that it is.
Good stuff.
Yes, YouTube. On the subject of attractive people, I was scouring the Western Weekend, the newspaper. Have a look at this from back in the early 90s. There's our, well, have you got anything underneath that coat, Freddie?
Have you had your have you had your wisdom teeth out?
Have a look at you. You look like a vulture or something.
Mate, you know when something's bad, when it never comes back into trend.
That was a shock.
What were they
Shocker.
thinking, putting me in that?
Wasn't those snakeskin leather jackets I used to wear?
Sort of like went little shoulder pads.
Can I just
I
say,
reckon I wore that out too.
can you put that back up? Now, I don't know whether we've got a zoom in the middle of the whole page, but my goodness, Greg Alexander's a handsome bloke back in the early 90s.
He was, yeah. Yeah.
He's the centre. There he is, in the middle. Look at him. Proud as punch.
No, that's
Wrong
there's
one.
MG.
It's MG.
Anyway,
That's the brother.
That's the 6'5"
That's the brother-in-law. There's
And there's
we'll
the
sort that out.
hairy-looking gorilla.
How'd your modelling career go? You've
That's what
done a fair bit of that.
That's what Chief used to call me, Teen Wolf.
Did he?
Yeah, always. Little hairy guy.
We've also in the archives found this. Now, in the modern game, there would be no tolerance for what Sean Berrigan has done to Brad Fittler here. Not even sin bin.
Oh, you want to go, pretty boy?
Let's go outside. And I walked around him.
Mate, that's what you call an old school footy vasectomy.
What was he thinking? Lucky you got
Mate,
big
you
thighs
get-
for it.
You get 8 weeks for that now, 6 weeks.
He
No,
just
not even a
He
penalty.
just lashed out.
Oh, yes, when men were men.
Unprovoked. On the subject of Roosters, we've gone further into the archives here. I don't know how we got this. Exclusive vision inside the sheds. Now, this is Gus talking to the Roosters back in 1999, round 7 versus North Sydney. This is Gus firing up the troops at half time.
All right, just give yourselves 30 seconds. Just close your eyes, get that shit out of your heads. Get that first half out of our heads. Got 40 to go. Have a relax, take some deep breaths. Forget about all that. All right, just while you're there, just have a think to yourself. Am I in the game? Am I doing the things I want to do? How's me talk? How's me half a yard? All the little things. Just give yourself 30 seconds. Get all that out. All right, come back to me. We know they're going to try and pull a rabbit out of their hat. 12 behind on the scoreboard, that's their game. They'll go for miracles, but they're quite capable of it because of the speed that they've got. You're playing great football. Let's not bring it undone by trying to entertain everybody, all right? And lose sight of the fact that we need these 2 points and we've got to move on.
There you go. Gus at his best. Keeping you laser focused, Freddie. Was he a good motivator at half time?
Yeah,
How many half-time speeches do you remember?
not many. A couple of good ones. I remember actually Gus, one of my favourite ones, Gus walked in after a game. We played St George and we beat them, but we nearly blew it. And there was an esky there. It was like a big tub, and Gus come in and gave it a big kick, but didn't realise it was full of ice and cans and all that.
Broke his foot.
Nearly broke his foot.
At least he could have put his foot straight in the ice.
And he went to go ballistic, but
Everyone started laughing.
he buckled.
You're not a big one for half-time speeches, eh? But is there any that you can remember that really stood out? Was Malcolm really like it?
Malcolm really won. I only heard Malcolm really go off one time. Now, we played the Adelaide Rams. This is how long ago. And first half, they hung up a couple of blokes, hit Matthew Gidley with an awful one. So anyway, we get to half-time, and he just said, OK, you know my history, the way I played. I don't care what you do in the second half out here. You just go out, and if they've maimed a couple of our young blokes, if you want it, do whatever you want. I don't care. Do whatever you want. And he challenged the big boys. He said to a couple of them, you were standing there when he knocked out young Matthew Gidley and you did nothing. I don't care what you do. Do whatever you want to do with your head, your fist, your elbows. I don't care. Get it done.
And what happened?
We ended up putting 30 points
What happened with the bluing? Was there
it was just straight through to the keeper. You could have a stink back then.
But did anyone have a blue is what I'm asking?
Yeah, it was game on. Right. Yeah, not me, but...
Tony Butterfield?
Yeah, Butterscum was in there.
Just
So maybe go back.
people in the scrum.
Maybe go and have a look. It was one of the last rounds of the season. We were pretty busted. We had a few blokes out. Anyway, yeah, that's ones that stand out. Gus was another one at half-time, which stood out. I don't know if I've told this story. We're all sitting there listening to Origin, and he goes, talking, and he goes, get up, get around me. So right. And he starts doing this speech, and anyway, getting quite passionate, and then the spit comes.
Oh, yes, you've told that.
Next thing, it was like a Seinfeld. This thing went like that and landed on Sean Timmins. Timo, how much do you want it? Timo went, I want it bad. So Gus walks out and slams the door. As soon as he slams the door, mate, we are hosing us. We went out and won. Genius. We're saying to Timo, you leave that on your shoulder till full time. Could be a good piece of memorabilia.
Oh, very funny. Yesterday's hero. I think we got with one of the big fellas.
Mears will play it. Tackles up their sleeve. Here's his first touch for the Tigers.
Oh.
Who reaches out.
Ordinary defence, Penrith.
Oh, left-hander.
Left hand.
Left-hander.
What's his debut?
Debut, I'm trying...
Not Ray Cashmere.
No. Same position.
Yeah.
Luke O'Donnell?
No, it's not big enough for...
Have another. Roll it again. Roll it again.
Tackles up
unique-
their sleeve. Here's
He had a unique
Bryce
running
Gibbs.
style.
Bryce Gibbs.
Talk about lunatics. What a good fella.
He's in their premiership side, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yep. Mate, I bumped into him and Liam Fulton one night having a beer. It's one of the great nights. One of the great nights, I got to say. Never stop laughing.
Yeah.
Mate, they are proper mad, them two.
I had him in a city camp,
Yeah.
mate. They were just crazy. He's next level. He'll do anything.
He could get a nail and put it into a part of his body.
He did it for Cardi, actually. He said to Cardi, he videoed himself, put a nail through his scrotum. He said, "This is what I'll do to play in the City team."
What?
He's captain.
Yeah.
Mate, he's captain.
That's what he did.
What? Through it?
Yeah, just put a nail
He
through
just put it down like a flying fox.
Oh, shut up. Why the bloody hell would you do that?
Oh, it was
to get in the team.
It was a 9-inch nail too. It was a big nail. No, it wasn't. Yeah. Rugby league.
What a great game.
Gibbs, Fulton. Now there is.
Yeah, they're in the best party team, Gibbs. Yeah.
Can't imagine Ryan Pappenhausen doing anything quite that silly. It was great to see him back on the weekend. Came on, played 20 minutes maybe, played in the middle, did his best, and he's starting at fullback this week.
He'll be playing 80 this week.
I think it'll be the difference between the Storm and the Broncos. I think you'll have a huge game. I reckon you'll get me of the match.
Great reception, wasn't it?
I feel for Nick Mooney. Really feel for him. He's probably the most consistent player all year, Nick Mooney. But he had so much Pappenhausen.
It's an opportunity, though, like, given where they are and the way the ladder sits, I'm still not sold on what he'll do in the semi-finals.
Really?
Yeah.
Not a worry in the world for me. Like riding a bike. You'll get out there and I think they're a big show now.
No, I do too, and that's what I think. I think he's as valuable on the bench as he is playing a full game at fullback. Him coming on would be a nightmare once the game slowed down a little bit.
In that same role that he played on the weekend?
Yeah, just coming on somewhere.
What gives you confidence about Melbourne? Take him out of it. Have you seen... earlier in the year, it wasn't the same Melbourne outfit, but they look like that they're starting to develop.
2 weeks ago, Penrith and Brisbane were highballing out in front.
Yeah.
They were 5 lengths in front with 200 to go. Now with injuries to Luai, Adam Reynolds, question marks over him, Pat Carrigan worries about his foot. I think they've come right back to the pack. I don't think there's much between a lot of the teams now. Geez, it's going to be a good semi-final series.
What about Penrith and Luai?
That's a big loss. It's a really big loss.
He'll play, though, in the semis.
Mate, he's not going to
Can't
play.
be right.
Mate,
Have they said...
It was
they're saying
dislocated.
he could potentially come back for a prelim.
It was
looked
out.
like him.
It was out for 5 minutes.
There'd be a big risk to get him for him to come, even if they were to have a week off. It would be a huge risk for him to come back in for a prelim on the back of that, wouldn't it?
I think a huge gamble.
Right hand, was it right?
He was right.
Yes.
No, it was left. No,
no, it was right.
No. When he was coming off,
The play was on his arm.
I'm sure. No, when he was coming off for the trainer, I'm sure the left arm was closest to the ground. Sure. And well, you'd know about interchange, losing a back in an interchange. It really messes with your bench.
Well, Cogger, he's
James-
been
or
playing on their bench because he plays hooker as well.
Or
so,
Jamin Salmon.
No, well, they've been using Cogger, I think, for that purpose, bringing him on at hooker, whether they carry Sonny Luke.
Well, Sonny Luke's there this week with Cogger playing 6.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll play. Too big a risk, especially with that shoulder. He's popped out. It was out. It was out for 5 minutes.
It's one of those things too. I remember Cooper Cronk did his shoulder. It'd be nearly easier playing the week after more than 4 weeks later.
But it was a break.
The pain doesn't get...
It was a break in the back.
Yeah.
It wasn't the shoulder popping out. So you imagine when it pops out, it's just so much damage to the ligaments and tendons.
Well, it's certainly given the teams below them hope. Maybe Newcastle amongst that as well. South's Roosters. Friday night footy. That old rivalry is back on again. And I had to laugh. I listened to Danny Wilder on 100% footy, who said there is a rumour that's been started by Souths that the Roosters started circulating the text message that ridiculed Latrell Mitchell just to light the flame.
They're too good. Be a good game.
Oh, what
Be a good game.
But
Can we move it to Allianz? Is it too late to move?
I think it probably... But we should get 50,000, 60,000.
Yeah.
That's... At Allianz, it'd be just awesome.
Well, it's going to be awesome anyway.
So no Latrell, but on the flip side...
This was the 7 sin bins.
Oh, yes, of course.
And Victor got sent twice.
So did Tane Milne, yes. So JWH suspended 7 weeks.
7 weeks.
7 weeks.
He didn't even hit him in the head.
Manu has been named, by the way, but I called that game on radio the weekend. I'd be stunned.
No way he can play. Nowhere near 100%.
Yeah, going off the record of these two teams, it will be great. What a shame Jared isn't playing.
Well, this is like life, right? There's no consequence for your actions. Years gone by, front row hits your halfback. Appy's playing halfback here. It's on. So big Stefano comes and protects his halfback. And because they can't throw a couple of punches, this happens. Use their head. What's worse?
That's not good.
It was clumsy from Ria Hargreaves, though.
Yeah, it was clumsy. It was unnecessary.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Gone for if they go through, I mean, he's gone for the C, misses first month of next year as well.
Well, there's no Jared, there's no Joseph Manu. They're big outs. Good to see him Walker back.
Played really well.
Played good.
Looked sharp, didn't he? Kiri played well.
Played good.
Kiri was very good.
Yeah. What are your thoughts here? Joey's pretty keen on South, I think.
I like South.
Roosters.
Yeah.
Why?
I just think they're in better form. I think South haven't played good for... It's not just been the last 2 weeks. They haven't played good for a while.
He was good, Brandon Smith too. Good to see him running the ball.
I just think it'll count later in the game. I think Kiri's a good enough player. Smith's a good enough player. I think they've got enough good players to, find the weaknesses of South.
How much of the emotional stuff that's been around Souths goes into this? Like it's a motivating factor, but emotion only carries us so far, doesn't it?
It lifts South so much.
Well,
I expect Cody to have an absolute 9 out of 10. Cody will shoot the lights.
Blokes like Campbell Graham, his game against Newcastle was that a couple of weeks ago. A lot of them have been going poor. There's a big focus on Latrell, but I've got to say a lot of them are just missing. Just been terrible.
But the point I wanted to make, and I wanted your thoughts on it, with the emotional stuff, Freddie, you can carry that into the game, but once the game's underway, does it take long for that to wear off?
No, well, it depends how the games go. Souths get a couple of penalties earlier from
fast he is.
From putting pressure on the Roosters' defence, and they do very well. The bunnies off. They get a couple of penalties. They're very good. So the Roosters' discipline will have to be good.
Totola, Heme Sele, second, third up from being out for a while. I really like South.
All right. Well, the boys are split on that. It's going to be a cracking game. We've got four sensational games coming your way on 9 this weekend, starting with Thursday night up at Suncorp, heading into the finals, the Broncos and Melbourne.
Here's the one we've been waiting for.
Footy's greatest final round blockbuster is here.
Oh, shot! Footy at its best!
The Broncos, playing for their first minor premiership in 23 years. And look who's back.
Bring it on.
Out to stop the party. The ultimate superstar showdown.
This will be a cracker.
Thursday, live and free on 9 and 9 now.
So let's go through some of the potential machinations here in the last round of the premiership. So this is the ladder 3rd to 10th. We know Brisbane and Penrith are 1st and 2nd, but we don't know which order they're going to finish in at the moment. It's possible you could get Brisbane-Melbourne play tomorrow night and also play in week 1 of the finals.
That happened last year with South and Roosters.
It did. So it's not unprecedented. Warriors are resting players. We know Melbourne and Brisbane are both resting players. No, Kalen and a few others missing for Newcastle, but it's desperate stakes from there on down.
Raiders, big test for Raiders. No Horsburgh.
No Papali'i.
No Papali'i, maybe no Jamal Fogarty. Interesting to see Jamal Fogarty has said he wants to test himself on the open market.
I didn't hear that.
So let's talk about the scenarios. Brisbane wins. They're minor premiers. Penrith can only finish 2nd. They've named pretty much a full-strength team. And presumably a lot of that is reasoned around trying to get game time with Cogger in the number 6. Do you expect that they'll rest some players if Brisbane wins?
I don't think the Brisbane game will come into play.
Okay.
I don't think they'll chase a minor premiership. I think in chasing that minor premiership, you also might be chasing to play Melbourne at your home ground, who I think would be, in my eyes, obviously more experienced opposition than the Warriors on your own home ground.
Penrith have flogged Melbourne the last few times they played them.
Yeah, I know, but they also had that game where they won on the bell from a bit of a fluke. I don't think I'd be chasing that.
So you expect they will make changes?
No, I think they'll just go with their own plan, regardless of the result. Whatever their plan is, I think they'll run with. I don't think the minor premiership would be in anyone's mind.
Okay. So if the Cowboys win and Canberra lose, Cowboys are in, and the winner of Roosters and Souths is in with them, and the Raiders will drop out.
Yeah, that's right. Souths and Roosters, yeah.
So therefore, if the Cowboys are able to beat Penrith 5:30 Saturday, the Raiders are definitely in, just not despite the result on Sunday. So there's a bit to think about for all of these teams and the fans watching at home. Obviously, Brisbane and Melbourne have made the decision to rest players themselves. Do you think Ricky will Ricky have his own plan? Like, will he rest if his team are definitely in?
He's a little bit unorthodox, Rick. So he sometimes can be flighty.
Sometimes.
So, he may change his mind. There's a couple of players, if there's a Jamal Fogarty who is carrying an injury. So, I think it would only be injury-based, nothing else.
Okay.
Do you think Jack White will play 5'8" this week if they need to win?
Give me front foot, Tom.
Yep.
Play on.
That was an odd selection, wasn't it? He's played in the back row too in the last 6 weeks or so.
Well, this game, if Reece Walsh plays for Canberra, they win. He was that good. What a player he is. Oh, gosh. It's like he's in fast forward.
What about the psychology of playing the same team 2 weeks in a row?
Well,
last year,
Roosters won.
Roosters won the first one, South flogged them.
South pumped them.
Yeah. No, I think I'd like to be on the team that lost the last game and then...
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I think always there's a little bit added motivation especially if you've just been beat.
There hasn't been much talk or information out of Melbourne about Jerome Hughes. How bad?
Week 1 of the finals will be back this.
Okay.
Right. So who's out for Melbourne? Munster, Jerome Hughes,
Harry Grant,
Nelson.
Liera. I looked at the players out.
7 days not playing.
8 Origin and internationals, whether they play for Queensland, New Zealand or Samoa.
Who's hooker for Brisbane?
Bronson Garlic, was it?
No, for Brisbane.
Smoothie.
Walters?
Smoothie.
Walters not playing?
No.
Right.
They've got 2 hookers on the bench, actually. They've got Moser, who'll debut, and Corey Pakes.
There's raps around Moser. Big raps.
Right.
Call that Queensland 19s for New South Wales. And Lockie talking about Moser. They got him high regard.
So who's going to be there? Who'll win the finals?
I expect Penrith to beat the Cowboys. And I think Sharks will beat...
And then the other... So therefore that would put Canberra in, and then it's the winner of... So you're saying Rabbits and Raiders?
Yep.
You're saying Roosters and...
Raiders.
Okay. Dally M Coach of the Year. What a fascinating discussion. Most people on the face value would say Andrew Webster. I'll throw a few names at you. Kevin Walters.
Them two. It's between them two. I got to lean towards Andrew Webster because it's his first year in the head position. And without being disrespectful, if you line up the players on reputation on paper, you got to say the Broncos roster or starting 17 is a lot stronger and a lot more experienced than the Warriors. I think this man deserves to be Coach of the Year.
He's done an
Jeez,
unbelievable job.
Great job. Great job.
He's got the best out of that.
He's untapped him.
Yeah.
Well, he's in the career best form. I thought he was shot. Did his Achilles, was it last year, the year before?
Yeah.
He wasn't in... there was bits of brilliance when he was at the Sharks, but not now.
He had one decent season at the Sharks. He had a period there of...
When he finished.
Yeah.
The last sort of couple of months.
No, he had a period there where he went really well.
He did.
Yeah.
And then he did his Achilles.
Yeah, but nothing like now.
Oh, no.
Nothing like it.
He'd be loving life back there playing like this. He would just be loving it.
Geez, Ivan Cleary's done a good job again. He's hard to overlook.
Yep.
They're trying to play in their 4th grand final in a row.
Considering the players they've lost. And they're losing more next year.
Well, that's going to be a different challenge altogether. Back into the archives. We love our old openers for Friday night footy. Here's another one.
Away from football, they've been the most talked about team of the last 3 years. But on the field, no one can accuse the Dogs of losing focus.
Here it comes again. They're over again.
A club divided, but a team that somehow sticks. Tonight, those bonds will get a testing from an old foe.
They're going to make it. They're in.
When these two cross paths, it becomes very personal. Already this year, the Roosters have been winged. The Dogs are under permanent siege. Two teams with a history on Nine's Friday Night Football.
Yes, they've been in the news again this week, Canterbury. I just did the podcast with Gus, gentleman, so he had his own say regarding all the issues. So, look, it's been reported that, if you haven't caught up with it, that a player asked, or essentially walked out on the club and after being punished for turning up late to training by having to wrestle 12 of his teammates. It's not as it was reported. The player has asked for a break based on mental health grounds, but that was a week after the whole punishment issue. And it's quite a sensitive matter, so the club's not elaborating on it any further. The stuff about Braden Burns walking out on the club is untrue. He did a hamstring and couldn't finish training, and then didn't turn up to a rehab session for whatever reason, but was trained yesterday with the team. And there's also suggestions about there was a group of 8 players or so who have complained to the club about cultural issues, and that hasn't happened either. So that's Gus's say on
cultural issues. Where was that tossed?
Well, I
think I read that players were complaining that the days are too long, the training's too hard.
And Cameron Serrato actually spoke to the media this morning and made no apologies for what he says is trying to generate a winning culture within the place.
Well, the Bulldogs' DNA, especially when Billy Johnson and Steve Folkes were in charge, what's that? Around the mid-90s. Mid-90s into the two. They trained harder than anyone. And Billy Johnson, he came into the Australian team, he flogged you. And you had training that afternoon. I remember Billy looking at it and go, hey, don't eat the buffet. I'd eat light if I was you. Get on Daroa. Mate, those short arms and short legs. Mate, I would vomit every session. Every session without a doubt.
He said that to me once. I'll never forget it. And I had a bit of a sore hamstring right at the end of my career. It was in 2001, and we're doing that, the roll machine where you do 300, 600, 900. I said, mate, my hamstring, so I can't make it. He said, I've never heard you say can't. I went...
Yeah, but they were renowned.
Just walk away disappointed.
Geez, they were renowned.
And you do
and they would get to take players to a place, and they'd either handle it or they'd break it.
They used to get on bikes and go down to, like, Goulburn and...
100k rides and stuff.
100k rides.
Yeah. So clearly there's a move within the club to try and get some of that resilience back within the place. And look, if it's probably understandable if there is some players who aren't going to handle that kind of pressure.
Okay, I'll ask you this. In the Bulldogs starting 17 the last couple of weeks, would you say there's splatterings of reserve graders in there?
Yeah.
I'd like to know whether they're the ones complaining.
Well, Gus actually said that the reality is, at the moment, they're the worst team in the comp, and they have been for the last few years.
Yeah.
So they need to change it.
So that's the thing. You've got a team then. They've been like that for years. So you've got to do something.
Is it uncommon to punish people for turning up late to training?
No. Mate, being on time is one of the most important things. Being on time, being prepared, having the right gear, knowing what your role is, you know, turning up ready to go. You've got everything you can check. You've drunk water, you've slept well, you've eaten, whatever you do before training.
Did you tick all those off?
Sometimes. It wouldn't affect. I'd still turn up and rip in.
Yeah, sure.
Got to be on time. You have to be on time.
One coach did a good one day where there was a similar scenario and there was punishment. So what he did, the bloke who did the misdemeanour, he stood there while everyone else did the punishment.
Oh.
So he'd flog everyone else and you do, just shame them.
Oh.
Full shame. It was the best treatment ever.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever.
You were never late training?
Never, ever, ever, ever. I'm never late. Full
I was
stop.
late. I got dropped at Penrith.
Yeah,
It was around the time.
Did you turn up on the trail bike or something?
I was around the time daylight savings changed, and I got my clock wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And as I was waking up an hour before training, so I live next door, the manager was ringing me. Just said, go to reserve grade. This was like Saturday training before the Sunday game. Said, don't bother.
That is brutal, having to turn up and your teammates get punished for you being late. Oh.
Best. That was the best.
Yeah.
Best ever.
Yeah. NRLW round 7. Gee, it was a great round last weekend. Another match-winning field goal from Lauren Brown. Tegan Berry from the Dragons.
Four tries. Gun.
So let's have a look.
She could become one of the most marketable NRLW players.
Yeah.
We'll see. She's only 19, 20.
Is she really? Starting with Thursday, we've kind of already talked about it. Melbourne versus Brisbane, with so many players out.
We're writing notes.
What are you doing?
Writing notes.
Tyranny.
I used to do that in year 8.
There we are. We got the mentality of year 7.
We've talked about this.
Toss. I'm saying Storm on the back of their record. At Suncorp, they've won 10 in a row. This goes back to the rivalry years ago between Craig Bellamy and Wayne Bennett.
If you took that record back, I reckon, to 2005-06, Melbourne's record at Suncorp would be through the roof. Because a lot of it's got to do with Smith and Cronk and these guys who go back up to Brisbane and play. They have just dominated them up there. But different scenario with under-strength teams for both clubs.
I can imagine that they were unwanted. I think Billy and Cameron and Cooper from the Broncos, I'd say there was a big B in their bonnet when they'd play.
Yep.
How would you rate that in terms of recruitment decisions?
Poor.
What about the ones at Newcastle?
Poor to very
You know the one at Newcastle? They had Greg Inglis there and they said, nah.
Sorry?
We're right.
Really?
Yeah. I asked him about it. He said, oh, yeah, I'll sign with Melbourne for $300. I went, well, how are we going to match that? He goes, no, scholarship for $300.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
I think the players that are out, I noticed Melbourne when they haven't got Nelson. I noticed Melbourne when they haven't got Munster. I noticed Melbourne, they're different when they haven't got Grant. And all of them, I just think it's a really big ask.
Yeah.
A big ask.
Brisbane.
Storm. Their record, Craig Bellamy's defensive hard edge. I'm going to get him home.
Great video too, as all the clubs do, on the Melbourne Storm socials and on the website about the couple of debut players.
Cool.
Yeah. Jack Howarth and the young winger.
He's a New South Wales boy,
Yeah.
Jack Howarth.
Big raps. Big raps.
He sounds like a rugby union player. Jack Howarth.
Well, he's not, because he's playing for Melbourne.
Yes.
Friday night footy at Core Stadium. Get out there. Doesn't matter who you support.
It's going to be.
We've got 90,000 seats to fill.
It's going to be a big crowd. It's going to be a big atmosphere, and the big players need to step up. He's one of them.
And the boys are split here. Freddy Rooster and Andrew Rabbit. Saturday night footy. Now, this is really absorbing this game. I notice the bookies have got it pretty much split 50-50. Dragons versus Newcastle. You're trying to win 9 straight, Andrew. Now, I know Kalen's not there and there's a few others resting, but still got Clune.
Yep.
Still got Gamble.
Yes.
Still got the 2 wingers. Still got Leo Thompson and the Saifidi boys.
Stats.
It's still a pretty formidable side.
I've got to say, the Dragons are going better than what the results show. They have lapses
Yeah, I
of
agree.
They could have
no
won last week.
concentration. They took Melbourne for 60 minutes. Geez, Adam Clune's been playing well. It's a shame he's going to the Super League. He would have been great for a club like the Bulldogs. He's very intelligent, trains hard, absorbs a lot of information.
Fast.
He's fast, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mate.
He's fast.
He's got grey hair everywhere.
Yeah.
It looks like he's about 50.
That's his
How
nickname,
quick is he?
George Clooney.
He's got a bit of the Richard Gears about him.
The gerbil. Haven't heard that rumour.
What?
You know the rumour about Richard Gere?
No. What?
Did I say it?
You said that loud.
It's your show, say it.
Allegedly.
What?
You can say that, you sweet.
What?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
What do you allegedly
I'm
do?
not getting sued as well.
Tell you off air. Mate, his kid's watching. Give him
Not
an
Richard
idea.
Gears kids.
I'm not getting sued.
No.
I want no
Do
part.
you reckon Richie gives a crap about what we
Oh,
say?
no, he loves the show.
I'm a big fan.
Man, I've had texts off Richard Gere, De Niro, all of them. They love Freddy The
You're an
Eighth.
imbecile.
They love it.
Clooney, that's why we mentioned
Clooney?
him. He said, mention me in your show. This
Especially, I'll tell you who does love the show, Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
Mate, she's the best. She loves it.
I did when
She
my
loves
wife
the
and I went to
stories.
Italy at the end of last season. We did a cruise. Have you been to Lake Como?
Yeah.
What a place. Did a cruise, and you can look at all the famous houses. What about George Clooney's pad?
Pretty
Please.
good.
The grouse?
It's outrageous.
Didn't he make like $1 billion out of tequila or gin or something?
Something like that. Something like that. Big fan of the show. Good on you, George.
Is he married, George Clooney?
Yeah.
I was married to that lawyer, though.
Amal.
The human rights.
Yeah.
Well done, George.
He's travelling all right.
Yeah.
George is tipping
One out,
Cronulla to
and
win.
one out and one back, travelling.
He's tipping.
Hugh Bowman
He's
like that.
tipping Cronulla to win on Sunday. George Clooney.
Yeah.
Against Canberra.
Now, George Clooney would be a Rabbitohs fan. Because of Russell.
Oh, turn it. He's not
But they're
working.
all the
Oh,
Hollywood
he'd find
stuff.
the Roosters for sure.
Actually, I was there one night at the SFS. What's the Allianz? And Russell came across the field. I was doing a sideline eye. And he goes, look up in the box there. Eva
Longoria?
Longoria up there. Have you heard what an immortal is? Have you heard what an immortal is? She just picked her nose and flicked it. Boogied on again.
I don't know any
She doesn't
part
watch
of
the show.
Oh, yeah, she loves the show. She likes 6 tackles with Gus.
this.
She loves 6 tackles with Gus.
Loves redheads.
Oh, I loves them. Strawberry blondes.
She also loves Queenslander
Oh, yeah.
with
No, she doesn't.
with the King and Lockie. And she's a big fan of Immortal Behaviour as well, which you can see on our YouTube channel.
If you did a movie, one movie, and it was a rom-com,
Yeah.
and you had to pick your female co-star.
I used to love Sandra Bullock.
Oh, yeah. I tell you, his birthday it is today. I heard on Ray Hadley.
Who's?
Drew Barrymore.
Is that you like her?
Don't mind blondes.
She's funny too.
Yeah. That scene in Something About Mary where she gets...
It's not
And she
Drew
puts it in
Barrymore.
That's Cameron
That's
Diaz.
Cameron-
Oh, actually,
No.
Drew Barrymore was punishing. Get rid of her.
Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz. Yeah. Cameron Diaz.
She's good in a movie called Night and Day with Tom Cruise.
Hmm?
I like her in that too. She's good. That's a great.
Tom Cruise is still in good nick, isn't he?
Woogie.
He's into his 60s.
Oh, Woogie with his shoes. Did they used to? Oh, yeah. Who did you say? Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock.
Sorry, Sandra. I thought you were recently divorced. Got it wrong.
Who's yours? Oh, Cameron,
Cameron
Diaz.
Diaz.
Really?
Hair up or down?
Up, of course. Julia Roberts. Is it Notting Hill when she's in there? Oh, I'm just standing in front of a boy. Come here, Don. Come in tight. What about you, Tomo? Who was you have?
Maybe Jabanski.
I saw her the other night. This is not a porky. I saw her at the Chloe Hotel having dinner.
Really?
Just
Yeah.
say hello?
No.
Did you say it's not a porky because she was in Babe?
No, I did not. Was she in Babe?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know.
I saw her at the Chloe.
Anyway, it's great to hear from Margaret and David from the, the SBS Movie Review
Yeah.
Show. I'm not going to ask you for any words of wisdom because I suspect you don't have any.
No, not today.
No. Enjoy the footy over the weekend. We'll see you next week to hopefully talk about the finals.
With the finals around the corner, NRL on 9 has you covered.
From match highlights, press conferences, don't forget, Freddy the Eighth.
Of course.
NRL on 9 has you covered for everything. One-stop shop.
Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a moment.